It's showtime! Oh wait a minute, that was from Beetlejuice. If you want to include a story to be included in this run-up to Halloween, then please feel free to do so. Obviously just like send it through in a PM to my YouTube channel here or my Facebook pages, and I'll be happy to include you in the show if I think you're not, talking too much bollocks, really. Remember, it's got to be your own true supernatural experience. If it was someone else's story that they've told you, then please feel free to let me know. Okay, so that the audience can make up their own mind. That's all that is about, and essentially I will then be able to provide some constructive feedback. I have had to not do a few stories that were out there because of the way in which they were delivered, or there's something about the content which doesn't really resonate with anything really. So just deal with that. Not everyone who enjoys my stuff can string thoughts together. But I want people to be involved in all this weird stuff and to string thoughts together, which is of course a big ask. Anyway, this message here says, I have just recently discovered your channel and I've been really enjoying the content. Thanks for your hard work. Here's a true story I'd like to share with you. When I was in my teens, I got into witchcraft and seances. A couple of friends and I would experiment with our own incantations and rituals. We had a few odd things happening, but I can't say for sure if they were real or just figments of our imagination. That shows real thought, okay? Being able to break things down. However, there was one event that really happened, and it was witnessed by myself and 5 others. It would have been in 1990, I think. We did a seance in my bedroom. It was during the day. We had a book called The Necronomicon that we were reading passages from. I can't remember why. And we recorded the seance on cassette tape. We didn't have an OUIJA board back then. Instead, we used to write out the letters A to Z and numbers 0 to 9 and yes and no on pieces of paper, cut them up and sorted them into a circle. We would use an upside down drinking glass that would sit in the middle of the circle. This particular time, we also had a saucer with a lit candle sitting on the table outside of the circle of letters and numbers. When we did seances, we would each put a finger lightly on the glass and ask questions. After a while, nothing much was happening, and we were just getting a lot of random gibberish coming out, as you often do at the early start of a good Ouija board seance. We started to experiment with how we thought seances might work. We had an idea that it was all psychological, and if we focused our thoughts on a specific target number or on a letter, then the glass would go in that direction, which makes a lot of sense from the ideomotor effect. That's good thinking. So for example, if we all decided to think about the number 7, the glass would ultimately go to that number. We did that a few times and it seemed to be happening like that, and so we gave up in frustration and boredom. I remember we all relaxed, sat back in our chairs and started to have random conversations. The lit candle on the saucer was sitting nearest my brother. I was sitting opposite him. He was bored and mucking around by moving his finger around the flame, when the saucer with the candle began to move around the edge of the table towards the right of him. He got frightened and jumped back a little. By this stage, anyone had stopped talking and noticed the saucer moving by itself. It moved at a reasonably slow pace. It did a full lap of the table, moving in a circle. The table was a circular shape also, and returned to the same spot. While it was moving, I remember someone asking who has the magnet or the fishing line, and someone else getting under the table to check for tricks. Someone else waved their hand over it whilst it was moving, but it simply did its thing and returned to where it started. The best way I can describe this movement is like a model train. It maintained the same pace and it was steady. It was incredible and unforgettable, but seemingly unreal at the same time. Everyone was a cynic at the end. How could that have happened? Who was involved, etc.? The problem is, it did happen. Naturally, I can't really put this experience into words very well, but it's still hard to believe it actually occurred because we're taught that these things are impossible. That's part of the problem. You see, people's education and what they're told is true overrides people's ability to think things through. Sometimes, okay? I can't really remember what happened after that in great detail. I do know that we all packed up pretty quickly. There was talk that I was stupid for doing this in my room, and that I could have I could have even let it happen. I did feel a presence in the room for a time after that, and thought I saw a moving shadow in the corners of the ceiling at night, hearing noises outside my room, etc. But I'd say that had a lot to do with fear. But then who really knows? I felt the experience itself was like someone saying, "You think this seance stuff is a joke, do you? Think you can control it?" It was as if there was a sort of playfulness happening, and it was having a joke with us. I could imagine it thinking, the spirit that is. If it could think. Typical teenagers think they know everything. Let's see what they think now. A few years after the séance, when I'd lost touch with some of those who were there at the time, I ran into one of the guys in the streets, and after a while, after a bit of time, he asked if I or anyone else was playing a joke that day. He was still reeling from the experience years after, so it certainly had an effect. As for me, it wasn't a scary experience. It just deepened my curiosity into the unknown, and I'm very grateful I've been able to experience something truly incredible. Thanks for listening. Well, as far as a story which is ideal for this time of the year, I would have to say that is quintessentially pretty fucking good. Okay? You've got drama, you got like, you know, a bit of excitement, moving candles. I mean, like, wow. I mean, Ouija board type stuff, people love that sort of thing. Yeah. Was it true or not? I don't know. But from the way in which you're describing it, it's very honestly expressed storytelling. So on that basis alone, you know, there could be some validity to it. So yeah, I mean, on the basis that that happened, as you said, it was very weird and very beautiful, and I wish I could have been there to see it. Because it sounds really awesome. Could it have happened? Is that in keeping with my experiences? Most of my experiences have not covered psychokinetic activity. I think Daryl Sloan has gone more into that side of things than myself. I have been much more to do with spiritualism, divination, sensing of energies, psychosomatic meditation, and that sort of thing. Which is just like where I've been coming from, as far as like my, you know, my style of experimentation is concerned. But the very idea that the consciousness you were dealing with, on the basis that it was a consciousness, was deliberately being mischievous with you, I think that sounds pretty cool. You know, possible? Maybe. I mean, if I was dead and roaming the world, I would probably be feeling pretty mischievous as well. And if I could do weird things like moving candles, then yeah, great, cool. I'd love to do that. But the fact of the matter is, as with all of these subjects, okay, everything, okay, there's too many questions, there's not enough answers, no one will ever know everything, and the more people who turn around and talk as if they do know everything and that their interpretation of reality is the correct one, the more danger there is in society, really. Because it lulls people into that state of, oh, I can trust everything that they say, you know, that kind of like robotic mindset of, I can't ask questions. I can't delve deep there. I can't be experimental with those thoughts and those ideas. So either way, chill out, relax, and season's greetings no matter which spirituality you're a part of. God bless.